Yeah, I was going to ask, was there a time that you felt you couldn't do the swim, that you doubted whether you'd be able to make it across, or was it, or were you pretty confident the whole way through? What was it like mentally for you?
Through training, I was always unsure, and I sort of had these kind of key goals of what I needed to do. Like I knew that I needed to do a really big swim and a couple of really big weeks of training, and training in rough water as well, just in case it got choppy. And I guess having pushing the swim forward a month, that threw me off because I hadn't done some of those things. So I was like, oh my God, I'm not prepared. But during the actual swim, I was quite surprised. I never actually had a moment where I thought, I can't do this. I had moments where I was like, oh my God, I wish this would be over right now. But I never thought, I can't finish this, which I was amazed by when I reflected back on it. I thought, jeepers, that's pretty impressive.
What,
So,
was there a point throughout the swim where it started to really hurt, or was it pretty even the whole way across? And how did you pace it as well? Was it just a steady pace the whole way through, and you were able to maintain it, or did your speed drop off towards the end as you fatigued? What was it like?
um, it, I definitely got sore. I think I was swimming over 3K an hour in the first 10Ks, and then I dropped off a little bit. Well, I thought it got choppy. Phil Katrina probably didn't think it was, but when you're in the water that long, it feels like it's choppy. Um, and yeah, I kind of went in and out of cycles of swimming really well and then not swimming so well. And Phil would say to me, "Oh, I can see that you're either need some more fuel or you're in pain." And it was always, when I was in pain, I wasn't swimming as great as I could be. I think, yeah, I mean, by the end, I definitely was a lot slower than the start. Um, but I was relatively consistent, I think. I don't know, you'd probably have to ask Phil that question. I definitely got to about 25K and got into a really hard space. Like multiple parts of my body were hurting. I spent a lot of time singing songs in my head over and over again. And yeah, when I got into that headspace where I was like, man, this really hurts, I started thinking, okay, I'm just going to count my stroke, and just kept counting and counting and counting. Started thinking about what else I could eat next, little treats. I knew I had a Mars bar in my little pack, and I had some Coke. So they were sort of things that I was holding on to for the end. And yeah, that's sort of like, okay, if I get to 30Ks, then I can have the Mars bar. And so that kind of helped.
It's all you need sometimes, isn't it? Just a little sort of carrot dangling at the end of, or at specific markers. It doesn't need to be much, but just those
Yeah,
little markers as you go through. Um, I sort of I did the same thing when I was doing some longer swims, like when I was doing sort of a 10 or 15K training swim towards Roto at the 10K mark, or on the fourth lap of a 5 lap swim. I'd save something in reserve there, and the same thing
yeah,
for longer runs. And and that's all it takes. It's just because your mind plays these games, and it doesn't need too much convincing to keep going if you give it the right
mm,
motivation. And especially when you're deep in the hurt locker, and you're that far, or you pass the halfway mark in a 40K swim, but you're not very close towards the end part, that 25K mark. That's when it can really start to get grim. Well, I can imagine. And
yeah.
yeah, and
I mean,
just
I think a couple of people said to me, and I think it may have even been Phil. He said, "Don't look forward and don't look back," because you're right in the middle of the lake, and you're just like, "Oh my God, I've got so far to go." But there were a couple of times where he said to me, "Oh, actually, have a look how far you've come," because obviously I must have been struggling. And I was like, "Oh, shit, that's pretty good." So, yeah, I mean, you definitely need those little motivating things that help you along the way, because you're on a really fine tipping point of either keep going, or oh my God, this is too hard. And I think once you start going into that, it's too hard, then it's kind of all downhill.
Mm.
So you just have to really keep focusing on little bits and pieces along the way, and feeding every half hour always helps because you kind of expect it after that long, when it's about to happen, and you think, oh, sweet, I can talk to somebody for a minute, or it takes you out of the situation that you're in just for a few minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, so that definitely helped.
I'm curious, what songs were you singing in your head? Do you remember which ones?
Yeah, I was singing Tom Petty's "I Won't Back Down."
Yeah, that's a good one. It's got a good rhythm, I
Yeah,
think, for swimming.
yeah, it has actually. And the other one was Rudimental's. What is it? I'm Not Giving In, or something like that.
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I know the song you're referring
And
to.
in the Black Seeds, Keep On Pushing.
They're all
It's very catchy.
very motivating songs.
Yeah, well, I'd listened to a few songs beforehand and thought, oh, which ones will I sing? Because I'd read a few books, and people had said, oh, it's quite helpful because you're in your own headspace and all you've got is the noise of the water the whole time. So it's a long time to be in your own headspace.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what I did for Rottnest. I had Toto Africa in my
Oh,
head the whole time, and I didn't know it. Well, actually, no, I found out at the 10K mark that my skipper in the boat had it blaring from the speakers, but I couldn't hear it when I was swimming. So he had it blaring for about 4 hours in the boat. And he sent me a message yesterday where he had a video, and that song was playing somewhere in public. And he said, "This
right.
reminds me of you," and it's probably more burnt in his mind than it is mine. After 4 hours of Toto Africa, but it got me through, and it's just it makes the time go a lot quicker.
It's quite funny because you'd think that you'd actually hate the song after it, but not at all. I actually quite enjoy that song. So yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to annoy me now. Actually, the song. I'm it reminds me of getting up at I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, and I had it going then before I got ready for the swim, and
Yeah.
I think that's why I can't listen to it at the moment because it just reminds me of early mornings, and I've got a 2-week-old son and we're not getting any sleep at
Sorry.
all, and it's just not yeah. So it's just bad memories. It's deja vu. I think, but yeah, I think next time I don't know if I'll go the same song or not next time I do a long swim, but yeah, it's a very good strategy to use. And I remember Phil talking about counting your strokes as well. I think he said he'd count to 300, and he just kept going through that when he was doing these long sort of 10 to 20k races back in the day. And I found that quite useful mostly for the training swims, but I used it a little bit during the race as well.